beloved child. There were times when I knocked on the door of your heart as softly as a breath, yet you did not hear. There were moments when I stirred you through a dream, a warning, or a stranger's word, yet you dismissed them as coincidences. And now, if you continue to remain silent, the price you pay will no longer be a mere trial, but an awakening through brokenness. I have often used gentleness to call you, yet your heart stays busy with things that quickly pass away. I have placed you at crossroads, not to frighten you, but so that you would remember who is the one holding your hand when darkness closes in. Now, if you still pretend to be asleep, my voice will sound once more, not only to wake you, but to pull you back from the edge of a cliff that is drawn far too near. If you are reading these words, this is not by accident. I do not send my message to everyone. I choose those on whose souls I placed my mark before they were formed. This call is not the first, but it may be the last. For the door of grace does not stay open forever. Each delay is a step further from life and closer to a spiritual death. The kind of death that no one can see but me. You have often thought yourself lacking because you are not yet successful enough, not yet loved enough, not yet given enough opportunities. But your deepest lack is the disconnection from the one who breathed life into you. That emptiness cannot be filled with applause or money, because it bears my shape. I did not create you merely to exist. I created you to live in my presence, and your soul will remain thirsty until it returns to the true spring of living water. Every loss you have gone through was not random, it was intervention. I closed doors you kept trying to hold open, not because I am harsh, but because I see what you do not yet see. What makes you weep today is the very thing that shields you from a deeper abyss tomorrow. I take away so that you do not lose yourself. Yet if you still do not understand, I will be compelled to raise my voice, not to condemn you, but to save you from the destruction you are drawing closer to with each passing day. Look back on your journey. How many times have I knocked on the door of your heart through a verse of scripture, a strange gaze, a nameless event, yet your heart has been too busy to listen, too noisy to recognize. You called it coincidence, but I call it arrangement. This call does not come from human lips. It rises from the depths where I placed your soul in your mother's womb. Do not wait until I must shake you with a storm, for what I desire is to awaken, not to crush. My beloved child, there were moments when I stood very near, yet you were too hurried to notice. In the loud laughter, in unfinished conversations, under bright electric lights that only mask an inner darkness. You thought you were truly living, but in reality your soul was fast asleep. I do not use sword or thunder to call your name, I whisper, again and again, like a patient father standing before the door of a heart, longing only for you to open. Here I am. I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in. Revelation 3:20. But that door, my child, the longer it stays closed, the heavier it grows with invisible locks, doubt, wounds, and even self-satisfaction. You often ask me, why don't you speak to me more clearly? But do you realize that the soul can only hear when the body consents to be still? You seek my word amid the noise, amid the vibration of your phone and the endless stream of information. You want me to speak, yet you make no room for me in the cramped rhythm of your days. Like the gentle breeze that met Elijah, I do not come in the earthquake or the fire, but in a soft whisper I speak to those who stop long enough to listen. 1 Kings 1:9-1:1-12. The noise is not only outside, it is within your heart. And it is precisely that inner noise that makes you think, I am silent. Do you remember the story of the boy Samuel, when the whole temple was wrapped in darkness and Eli's eyes had grown dim. I called a child 3 times until he answered, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." 1 Samuel 3:1-0. You see, I do not require the grown, the learned, or the wise. I only need a heart that knows how to listen. My child, I have called you more than 3 times. It is just that you are constantly distracted by other voices, the call of fame, of validation, of fleeting pleasures. But not every voice that calls you comes from me. Learn the simplicity of Samuel and pause to discern that not every whisper is an invitation to live truly. You keep thinking you still have time, but time does not flow backward. Each time I call, it is an opportunity, and each opportunity is rare in this brief earthly life. My child, my call does not echo forever, for there comes a day when I will cease knocking so as not to violate the freedom of your choice. I am the one who honors your decisions, even when they break my heart, like the rich man in the story of Lazarus. When all has been settled, though he begged, the chasm between the 2 sides could no longer be crossed. Luke 1:6-6. So wake up, my child, before the final call fades away like morning mist over the field of life. I do not accuse you for being slow to respond. I only grieve when you forget where you belong. Each time you turn away, I remain here, never once leaving my place. It is not because I have nothing else to do, but because you are the special work shaped by my own hands. You are not called because you are worthy. You are called because I chose you before you were formed in the womb. Jeremiah 1:5. So if your heart now feels even the faintest sting, that is the sign that I am whispering once more. Answer me, even if only with the slightest nod within your soul, to me. That is already a great beginning. I know there are days when you feel empty for no clear reason. You have everything: work, family, relationships, yet it seems you are missing something essential. You try to fill it with temporary joys, future plans, or human praise. But you always return to that slow burning sense of being lost. My child, this is not random. It is the echo of a starving soul. It is not hungry because it lacks something new, but because it has long not been nourished by the living word. And I will tell you why. My absence is the true cause of that inner void. Do you ever feel that on some days, even when everything appears to be in order, your heart still falls into a nameless emptiness? That is when laughter cannot cover the silence inside, and gatherings no longer make you feel truly present. You may call it exhaustion. You may label it a crisis. But it has a far more honest name. It is the absence of me in your life. When the soul no longer hears the voice of the one who created it, it no longer knows who it is, and so it begins to drift into nothingness. You try to cover the gap, but everything is temporary, like a thirsty wanderer in the desert who drinks from a mirage. I have heard your sighs in the middle of the night, not because you lack material things, but because your heart has wandered far from the place it once belonged. You thought that having this person's love or that person's praise would bring you peace, but the more you have, the emptier you feel, because you have placed what is temporary into the place that belongs to me. And nothing temporary can replace what is eternal, like a tree planted far from the waters. No matter how thick its trunk or how green its leaves, the day of withering still comes. In John 1:5 I have said, apart from me, you can do nothing, yet you keep trying, then wearing yourself out, then falling into disappointment, while the only thing you truly need to do is return to the source. My child, many times I have tried to speak, through a sermon you half heard online, through a song playing in a cafe, through the quiet, tender gaze of a stranger. but because you do not believe that I care about the tiniest details of your life. You call it coincidence. I once called Adam in the Garden of Eden. Where are you? Not because I did not know where he was, but because he had lost the place where he belonged. You are the same. I know where you are and what you are doing. But I want you yourself to realize that your soul is wandering. Even while your body is busy with the routines of daily life. There is a story few pay attention to when I appeared to Mary Magdalene after the resurrection. She mistook me for the gardener until I called her by name. Mary, John 2:0-1-6. Just one word. And she broke down in recognition. Because what she lacked was not understanding, but the recognition of love's voice. You are the same. You do not need more information, more degrees, or more titles. You need to recognize that your name is still being spoken by me every day. In the gentleness of a father who has never taken his eyes off his child. You often say you feel directionless, unsure what is right or what is enough. My child, when light is absent, darkness always fills the space. When my word no longer echoes within you, every other voice begins to compete for your attention. And soon enough, you are lost. Lost not because there is no path, but because you no longer hear the voice of the one who leads. Like a sheep gone astray, it has no idea where it is headed until it falls into the ravine. But my child, I am the good shepherd. I will leave the 99 to go after you. If only you will stop running and call my name. The emptiness in your heart is not something to fear. It is the warning bell that you are drifting away from me. What you lack inside is not a something, but a someone. I do not come to condemn you for your coldness. I come to remind you that no one can take my place in your life. Every restless night, every morning when you wake without knowing why you should go on, is the moment I long for you to remember that first call, the invitation of love that never changes. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 1:1-8. The peace you seek can only come from me. I do not blame you for having tried other paths, for in your collapse, I will renew you. What breaks my heart is when you deny that emptiness and paint over it with artificial colors. Stop pretending you are fine. My child, do not let forced smiles replace the cry of your heart. I see it all. I wait without ceasing, just to hear you say one simple sentence, I am not okay. And the very moment you admit this, my presence will begin to do what it has always longed to do, heal. You are living in a generation that knows much but understands little. There are many relationships, but little true connection. Many things happen, yet your heart still feels empty, because nothing can fill the hole in you that is shaped like me. I am the only one who understands you down to the roots, and that is why I never stay silent forever. But my child, I do not call without end. There are times, just as in the years when Israel no longer heard the voice of prophecy, when I will be silent, not because I have stopped loving you, but because I have called so many times while you remained unmoved. Do not let my silence become a bell that rings too late. When your soul is reconnected to me, every empty space will begin to be filled, not with possessions, but with light, not with fleeting emotions, but with a steadfast awareness that you belong to me. My presence will not make your life easier, but it will keep your heart from feeling alone. You may still walk through the shadows, but this time, not by yourself, for I will hold your hand. And when you fall, I will lift you up with my own words. Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine, Isaiah 4:3-1. And sometimes, in order to fill a soul, I must first allow it to feel hungry, not to torment it, but so it may recognize that this hunger is sacred, not because you are wrong, but because you have forgotten where you first came from. So if right now you feel utterly empty inside, do not rush to push that feeling away. Let it lead you home. For that very emptiness is pointing the way, my dear child. I have seen your tears fall in the night. Not a single drop has fallen without my knowing it. You think I have turned my back, that I have stayed silent and left you to endure alone. But no, I have never taken my eyes off you, even when I have had to let go of the things you loved so they slipped from your hands. Not because I delight in watching you lose, but because I love you too much to let you cling to what is slowly killing your soul. There are things you hold as if they were life itself, while I can see clearly that they are draining your spirit away. And I, like a courageous father, must gently pry your fingers loose, even knowing it will make you weep. You often ask, why did this have to happen to me? But I want to ask you in return, if it had not happened, would you ever have stopped? I know how much you love that work, that relationship, that dream. Yet I also see you trading your peace for constant striving, trading your very soul to hold on to something that did not come from me. Like a farmer who cuts off diseased branches to save the whole tree. I have cut not to make you lose, but so that you might live. In John 1:5-2, I have said, every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. Some removals are not an ending. They are the beginning of true life. Once, I told my disciples a story about a rich man, living in comfort and abundance. And that very night, I called his soul home, Luke 1:2-20. Not to punish him, but to remind all that no one can keep anything if they forget the one who gave it. I do not need to take away in order to prove that I am stronger. I only act decisively when you no longer listen to my gentle voice. My child, there are doors I close not because you are not good enough, but because beyond them lies an abyss disguised as blessing. And if you see something fall apart, let me remind you, sometimes I must break what you have built so that I can rebuild it with my own hands. Not according to your will. I have seen you lower your head in a crowd, biting your lip to hide your tears. I know the dreams you have nurtured for many years, and I also see how those very dreams are slowly stealing your joy in living. You think that if you lose them, you will have nothing left, but you do not realize that I am still there, and I am enough. When Abraham was asked to offer Isaac, it was the moment I taught him that true love is placing me above even what is most precious. And when he obeyed, I did not take his son from him, but I healed his heart from its misalignment. Genesis 22. You see, there are things I seem to take away, but in truth I am preserving what is most precious, the heart. There are pains in life that cannot be understood right away. They have no tidy, reasonable explanation. But in time you will see those very seasons of loss were where you began to find me more clearly than ever before. Just as a seed cannot sprout without being buried in the soil, you cannot truly grow if you only live forever in sunshine and applause. Each loss is a shedding, a painful but necessary stripping away, so that your soul becomes lighter, truer, and closer to me. I do not promise that you will not hurt, but I promise that in every pain, I will be there, not first of all to explain, but to hold you. Do you know why Job, after losing everything, children, possessions, health, could still say, though he slay me, yet will I trust in him, Job 1:3, 1:5, because he understood that some losses are not evil, but purification. Some wounds are not an end, but a refining that keeps only what is most pure. And it is in that place that I can make all things new. I did not merely restore everything to Job, I doubled it. Yet the greatest reward was not the wealth, it was that he came to know who I truly am. My child, what I am doing in you is the same, not to take from you, but to bring you to the place where you can meet me with a bare soul, without any mask. If you are going through a season of loss, do not be quick to accuse. Pause, look up, and ask me, Lord, what are you wanting me to learn? For I do nothing without meaning. Nothing I allow to happen is without purpose. You may not understand at once, but if you place in my hands whatever remains, I will give you what is better, not better by the standards of this world, but what most truly fits your soul. For I have not come to keep you merely safe, but to lead you into abundant life where you no longer live enslaved by fear of loss, but live in trust. And when you look back at the fragments that once caused you such deep pain, you will see that I walked with you through them. You will realize that what seemed to collapse was actually the backdrop on which I was preparing something new. And that new thing, my child, is closer than you think. But to receive it, you must loosen your grip on what is old, both in your heart and in your mind. For it may be that what is hurting you today is exactly what will spare you from ruin tomorrow. My beloved child, I have seen how hard you try to be strong. You train yourself to smile for the role you play, to stand tall amid the ruins inside, to say I'm fine even when you burst into tears alone at night for no clear reason. I know it all, and I am not asking you to be that strong. I only long for you to show me your true self, no hiding, no decorating your soul with pretend composure, for it is in the moment you dare to drop the performance that I can begin to touch the deepest part of your soul, the part you have never shown to anyone. You think I want to see you good, polished, respectable, but no, I do not need a soul that shines on the outside. I desire a heart that is honest, even if it is full of cracks, like the tax collector who bowed his head and said, God, be merciful to me, a sinner, Luke 1:8-13. It is that raw truth that brings a smile to my face. You do not need to be worthy in order to be loved, for I loved you even when you did not love me, and if you keep pretending to be fine, you will remain outside the doorway of healing, a place where only those who dare to tell the truth can enter. Do you know what keeps many from being healed? It is not that they are too hurt, but that they will not face the real wound. They are busy covering it up, pressing it down, layering over it with busyness, success, or outward piety. But my child, a hidden wound festers, it does not disappear. And I, as the physician, cannot heal if the patient will not open up and say, it hurts here, like the woman who had been bleeding for 12 years, whom no one could heal until the day she decided to reach out and touch the hem of my garment. In the crowd, in fear, in vulnerability, Luke 8:43-48. Only then did power go out from me. I do not need eloquent prayers. I need a genuine sigh. I do not require you to memorize many scriptures. I want you to be honest and say, Lord, I am tired. When those words leave your lips, your burden begins to leave your shoulders. That is when you stop straining to prove yourself and begin placing yourself in my hands where you can rest without acting. My child, surrender is not defeat. It is the doorway into healing. It is the moment you stop trying to be the God of your own life and let me return to the place that has always been mine. I know why you have not yet been able to surrender. You are afraid of losing control, afraid that if you hand your life over to me, you will lose the things you are clinging to. But my child, some things can only be kept when you know how to let go. Like Peter, who after a whole night of catching nothing, heard me tell him to let down the nets again, and he said, Master, this makes no sense, but because you say so, I will do it. Luke 5:5. It was that very surrender that led to the miracle. So it will be with you when you stop asking why and begin to say yes. Lord, You will see, I can do what you never dared to imagine. The more you brace yourself, the more you hurt, the more you resist, the weaker you become. But when you finally lie down in my hands, like a child after a day of crying itself to exhaustion, I will gather you into my arms and begin the gentlest of works, soothing every fracture in your soul. Not with loud miracles, but with quiet presence. Not in fire and thunder, but in the whisper I once used with Elijah. My healing does not come like a storm, but like a soft rain falling silently, seeping in slowly, reviving every withered cell of faith. If you keep asking, when will I be healed? Then I will answer. When you stop asking and start trusting, for healing does not begin in understanding, but in trust. I do not need you to comprehend everything. I only need you to say, even without understanding, I choose to surrender. And in that very moment, I will begin the work of restoration not only in your body, but in the very roots of your spirit. You will not only be stronger, you will be truer to who you were meant to be. You will not only be lifted up, but will walk steadily, no longer dependent on anything or anyone but me. You may have grown used to healing yourself, to trying on your own, to facing everything alone. But my child, that is why you still feel empty, still feel weary, still feel as if you are wandering in circles in a desert. You were not created to carry the whole weight of your soul by yourself. You were made to walk in fellowship with me. And if today you dare to let go, dare to say, Lord, here I am, I surrender, then that is not a word of defeat, but the bravest declaration a soul can ever make. And I, with all my mercy, will answer, at last, you have allowed me to begin. And it is precisely when you step out from behind the mask you have worn for far too long that I will show you, you are not alone. What you are going through is not only meant to heal you, but also to touch others. The restoration you receive today will become a testimony for a generation that is starving for freedom. But first, I need you to lay down your weapons and let me hold your true heart, fragile yet honest as it is. My beloved, perhaps you have thought this journey was only a private matter between you and me, that my call was only to heal the wounds inside you, to help you walk more firmly ahead. But no, my child, I do not only want to save you, I want to use you to reach many other souls. Every step you take, every quiet yes you whisper, is creating an invisible ripple that touches people you do not even know. For my call, once you respond to it, will never stop with you. I am the God of generations, the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob. When I chose Abraham, I was not thinking of him alone. I was thinking of an entire people who would be born from his faith. Do you know that the word I spoke in the wilderness did not only change Moses' life, but also the destiny of millions who were brought out from slavery in Egypt? When you answer my call, you are altering the spiritual history of a lineage you yourself cannot yet foresee. I am calling you, not only so that you may live, but so that you may become a forerunner for a generation that will know me through your very life. Have you ever asked yourself, what will those I place in your life receive from you? Do you want to pass on to them a spiritual inheritance, or only things that quickly fade away? It may be that you will be the very first in your family to say, Lord, I belong to you. And from that one, yes, your children and your children's children will grow up in the light instead of the suffocating darkness you once walked through. Like Ruth, the Moabite woman who chose to follow the God of Naomi, her decision did not only rescue her from hunger, but brought her into the very lineage of the Savior. Ruth 4:1-3:17. Do you see? One simple, quiet yes became a turning point in the entire history of redemption. You think you are small, insignificant, having nothing worthy to offer, But I am not looking for the most gifted, I am looking for the surrendered. You, the one who once thought yourself broken beyond repair, are the very one I have chosen to carry healing to others, not because you are flawless, but because you have tasted my mercy. And only those who have truly been touched by love can pass on that love in its truest form. Do not belittle your journey, the wounds that have been healed, the sobs in your secret room, the nights you lay awake. I am using all of these to paint a picture far larger than you can imagine. For wherever there is quiet sacrifice, there is eternal strength. And my child, do not wait until everything in your life is perfect before you think of living for others. I used Abraham when he still had no child. I used Job while he was still sitting in ashes. I used Joseph when he was still in prison. If so, I can also use you right here, right now. Live as if this call were a torch, and your hand is carrying it for those who will come after you. Because faith is not only something to keep, it is something to pass on, and not by loud words, but by a genuine life. Real steps of obedience, true surrender. Every decision you make today will plant a seed for tomorrow, and I am the one who will make it sprout in its appointed time. You may not see the results right away. You may never fully know how many lives were saved simply because you decided not to give up. But in heaven, there are rewards that do not lie in spotlights or applause. They lie in the souls who met the light because of your faithful footsteps. I have said in Exodus 2:6 that I show love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments. Do you see? Every holy choice you make today will reach farther than you think. It will touch people you have never met and generations you have never even imagined. So if you are wondering whether this call is truly meant for you, let me speak more clearly. Yes, you, exactly, you. I am calling you not only because you need to be saved, but because I desire to use you to save those you love, and even those who are waiting to hear my voice through your life. Walk forward not with a burden, but with honor, not with fear, but with gratitude. For when you obey, this call will not stop, it will spread farther, deeper, and stronger than anything you ever thought you could do. And when you look back, you will see that this call, from beginning to end, was never just about awakening you, but about awakening an entire generation that has fallen asleep. And now that you have heard, have understood, and have received, are you willing to pass this call on, not through pressure, not through argument, but through the very life of someone who once slept, yet is now awake, someone who once was lost, but has now been called home by their Father? My child, the love I have for you is not a fragile feeling that only soothes and indulges. This love dares to shake you awake, dares to touch the places you still try to hide, dares to name the things that are pulling you away from me. When I see you drawing near to the edge of a cliff, I cannot stay silent. I cannot stand by watching you smile on the outside while your soul slowly grows cold within. That is why I must speak louder, clearer, deeper, not to terrify you, but to truly awaken you. The stirring you feel now is not a sentence of condemnation, but my arms shaking you gently and saying, you still have time to turn back. What is moving within you right now is not just a passing emotion. It is the echo from the deepest part of you, the place where I placed my mark from the very beginning. Your mind may argue, may analyze, may try to smother these stirrings, but your soul recognizes me. It recognizes my words the way a child recognizes its mother's voice in the crowd. You do not need to be able to name everything you are feeling. You only need to be honest enough to admit, something is touching me. Do not be quick to call it fear. It is light entering a room that has been shut for too long. At first it will be blinding and uncomfortable, but slowly, you will begin to see everything more clearly. I know you are used to being in control, to making every choice by your own calculation. You have learned to lean on your reason, your experience, what your eyes see and your ears hear. So when I knock on the door and invite you out of your comfort zone, your rational mind immediately asks, "Are you sure? Could this be a mistake?" I do not blame you for this. I understand. But my child, there are truths that can only be touched by faith, not by formulas. You will never fully understand before you step out. You will only recognize the rightness of the path once you have bravely taken that step. What I seek in you is not a perfect explanation, but a heart willing to trust. You do not have to wait until you are better, holier, cleaner to come to me. I'm not asking you to wash yourself white before you dare draw near. If you could do that on your own, I would never have needed to come down to seek you. I welcome you exactly as you are right now, still confused, still clumsy, still carrying many scars. None of that makes me uncomfortable. The only thing I'm waiting for is that you dare to say one simple sentence from the depths of your heart. Lord, I am here. I am not hiding anymore. Just that. And the door of your heart will be ajar, and I will have a way in. From that moment of honesty, the rest is no longer a weight on your shoulders. You do not need to draft a detailed plan for how you will change, how you will live worthy enough. That is my work. I am the healer, the restorer, the one who makes all things new. I will gently enter every corner of your memories, every darkened hallway of your soul, the places even you are afraid to revisit. I am not coming to scold you. Why are you like this? I am coming to whisper, I know, I see, I understand, and I want to heal. Your past does not shock me. The stains on the garment of your soul do not make me hesitate. It is precisely because I see it all that I pursue you so relentlessly. You once thought your life had gone too far off course, that too much was ruined, that your mistakes ran too deep for any hope to remain. But my child, what you call the end can become a new beginning for me. I do not work only on flawless foundations. I create anew from the rubble. There is no crack so wide that I cannot fill it. There is no wound so deep that I cannot reach it. The only thing that can hold me back is when you seal your heart shut and refuse to let me touch it. If you dare entrust me with even the parts you are most ashamed of, you will see me turn those very fragments into your most powerful testimony. The places where you once collapsed will become the very places where many others find hope, because they can see how I raised you up there. You have no idea how long I have been quietly preparing more for you than you could imagine. In the years you wandered, I was still sowing seeds into your life, a sentence someone once spoke, a prayer you nearly forgot, a time you almost met with disaster but somehow escaped, without understanding why. All of these are small pieces of the larger picture I am painting. Now, as you stand on this threshold and look back, you will gradually realize not a single event was meaningless. Every failure, every silent stretch, every moment that felt hopeless, all of it has led you to this moment, where you are invited to choose again the direction of your life. I know there will be another voice whispering to you, just leave it for tomorrow. Wait until you're freer, calmer, until your circumstances change. Then decide. But my child, when the soul is not healed, even the most favorable circumstances become empty. If you keep waiting for everything around you to be perfect, you will never begin. True transformation does not depend on whether the winds out there are calm or stormy. It starts from a decision within. Today, right as you are listening, something is leaning toward you from heaven. The door of grace is opening wider than you imagine. But it will not stay open indefinitely. That is not a threat, but a truth that needs to be spoken. So you will not miss it. I also want you to grasp something deeper. This call does not end with you alone. When you respond, your whole family, the ones you love, those who will one day step into your life, even those who are not yet born, can all partake of it. Every time a person dares to return to me, the spiritual history of an entire bloodline is rewritten. Invisible chains that have bound generation after generation begin to break. Repeated patterns of hurt, violence, unfaithfulness, coldness are stopped at you, because you have allowed me to stand at the center. You will not become perfect overnight, but you will be a signpost, a turning point, the first marker of a new path. The children who grow up after this, whether they are your own flesh and blood, your grandchildren, or souls I send to you to care for, will live in the warmth that flows from the decision you make today. They will see a person who dares to kneel before me, dares to live truthfully, dares to choose light in an age full of deceit. They will not only hear about me in theory, they will see me in the way you live, the way you love, the way you forgive, the way you rise again after falling. You are not receiving a grace meant only for yourself. You are opening a river of grace that will flow down through many generations. And I, the one who sees far beyond what you can see, am inviting you to step into a plan far greater than your own small, individual life. So do not rush to switch this off. Do not hurry on to something else. This moment is not just a few passing minutes on a screen. It is a meeting point between heaven and earth in your life. There have been many times you have skimmed past gentle reminders. Many opportunities have slipped by without you realizing it. But this time is different. This time, I want you to recognize this is not an accident. I chose this moment. Chose the very state you are in now with your private worries, your unanswered questions, your unhealed wounds, to speak a clear word to you. I am here, and I am inviting you to cross over. You do not have to speak out loud, but I long to hear the voice of your heart. Call to me in the simplest way you can. It may be a whisper, Lord, I need you. It may be a choked sob that never forms a sentence. I understand it all. I listen not only to words, but also to the silence between them. As long as you open your heart, even just a narrow crack, my grace will pour in, like the dawn slipping through a doorway, slowly driving out the darkness. Do not be afraid that you will not keep your promises. Do not fear that you will be weak again, fall again. I have already taken all of that into account. What I want to see in you now is not a grand commitment, but an honest heart. When you choose to keep listening, to remain in this sacred moment, you have already taken the first step. You are saying to me, I won't ignore this time anymore, and I cherish that deeply. What lies ahead in your life will not always be easy, but you will no longer walk alone. I will walk with you through days full of sunlight and through the darkest nights. Whenever you stumble, I will uphold you. Whenever you want to turn back to the old path, I will remind you of today, the day you opened your heart to me in sincerity. Just stay here a little longer, and let the words that follow soak into your heart like rain seeping into parched ground. Do not rush to judge yourself. Do not be quick to decide whether you are worthy or good enough yet. You only need to know this: I love you. I am speaking to you, and I desire to do something new in your life. Right now, if you dare to agree, if you dare to whisper in your heart, I am ready for you to lead. Then prepare yourself. Not prepare to strain and strive, but prepare to receive. For when you incline your heart toward me, heaven inclines toward you, and you will see, gradually, little by little, that all I have quietly prepared for you over so long will begin to unfold more beautiful, deeper, and more real than anything you have ever dared to imagine. My son, my daughter, today I want you to grow still a little longer. To hear me say this, something I have longed to share with you for a long time. But I waited for the right moment. Because there are words that only when the heart is quiet enough can the soul receive to the very depths. Do you remember? That first moment I came to you not with thunder or blinding light, but with a nameless peace. A gentle, soothing within. Right when you thought everything had fallen into hopeless silence, that was not a random feeling. Not just some positive energy, as people often say. That was me. I, the one who created you, was stepping softly into your heart, awakening something that had slept for too long, your true identity as one who is called. You think that call only came once, in a passing instant. But no, it has never gone out. It has burned quietly in the deepest place, where even you forgot how deeply you once trembled. You may not remember my exact words, but you remember the feeling, that sense that there was something more sacred than all your dreams, higher than all your plans for life, beckoning you to step out of the small shell you built around yourself. And even when you turned away, even when you fell silent, I did not stop reminding you, not with noise, but with absence. For there are things that, only when they are missing, make a person suddenly realize how deeply they were loved. Do you know why I bring this up again with you today? Because I see that your heart has grown dim. Not because you tried to forget, but because life has covered that holy memory with dust, busyness, failures, unfulfilled expectations. All of these have led you to place that call in some drawer of your memory. Lock it away, as if it were something that almost happened. But I have never seen it as something that almost was. I've inscribed it into the design of your life, not so it can be recalled as a story, but so you can continue living from that point. Everything I speak carries the breath of life, and because it is alive, it is still waiting for you to respond. I know you once turned away because you were afraid. Afraid you were not good enough. Afraid you would fail. Afraid of carrying something too great. Afraid others would not understand. Afraid even you yourself would not understand. But my child, I did not call you because you were ready. I call you in order to make you ready. I do not choose the strong. I make strong those whom I choose. When you feel yourself trembling, when you want to step back, that is not a sign you are on the wrong path. It is evidence that you have touched something truly significant. Light always makes people hesitate when they step out from darkness. But only by stepping out will you see that you were never made to hide forever. You imagine, I only want to fix your life, but no. I want to rewrite the entire story you are living. Not a small adjustment, but a rebirth. And the mystery is this: when you respond to that call, those around you will start to change as well. Not because you stand up to preach, but because you live with a vitality that does not come from this world. Light does not need advertising, it only needs to be lit. And my child, a lamp lit by my hand will never shine for only one person. It becomes a flame, passed from generation to generation. Do not think that what you are feeling now is only for you. I am not calling you out of pain just to stop at your healing. I heal you so that you can become a place of healing. I lift you up so that you will know how to bend low. Everything you have been through, every tear you swallowed alone in the night, every inner battle that no one else knew about, I have seen it all. And I will not let any of it be wasted. I will use it as testimony for those who come after you, those who are in despair, those who will look at you and realize, if I can remake your life, then I can remake theirs as well. You know, sometimes long sermons and great speeches do not change people as much as a single peaceful gaze from a soul that was once shattered but is now whole. When you rise from the ruins, you will not need many words. Your life will speak for you. You will not have to strain to prove anything, because I, myself, will be the living evidence within you. And it is the generations after you, your children, your grandchildren, those who will never even know your name, who will breathe a different spiritual atmosphere. Because one person in their line dared to obey me. I know you think you have little influence. You think you have done nothing of significance until now. But my child, the greatest things never begin with great deeds. They begin with a heart that knows how to say yes. Abraham left his father's house not knowing where he was going, but simply because he obeyed. An entire nation was born. You too are standing at such a crossroads between living out just another ordinary life, or allowing me to write a greatness you could never have imagined. Do not wait until everything is clear. Do not wait until you feel capable. Let your very imperfection become the proof of my power. You may not see the full result in this lifetime. You may have to walk by faith without yet seeing the harvest. But in eternity, every seed you sow today will grow into a tree of life for people you have never met. I have said the righteous will live by faith. And faith does not only save one person, it opens the way for many. When you live by faith, you are pushing back the darkness not only for yourself, but also for those who come after you. Every step you take is an opening in the path. Every small prayer you whisper is a touch upon the gates of heaven. And every quiet yes is a declaration that you belong to me. So if you are still wondering whether that calling still has any meaning, after all the times you have broken your promises, after your mistakes, after the years you thought were wasted, then I am here to say, yes, it still does. And it is still waiting for you. For I am the Lord your God who does not change, and my plans for you are not revoked by your weakness. You only need to return to the place where the calling began. Remember, receive it again. And this time, do not run away. Stop for a moment. Close your eyes if you need to. Place your hand on your chest and ask your own soul, do I still remember? And if you do, then simply say, Father, here I am. It really is that simple. The rest, leave to me. I do not need you to do something great today. I only need your obedience. For one yes today, even in weakness, is enough to shake the darkness you once thought you could never overcome. And who knows? It may be that in that quiet yes, a spiritual lineage is beginning to awaken. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, but right now, my child. When I told you that this calling is not only for you, perhaps you thought it was just a broad saying, that everyone can be chosen, so no one is truly special. But no, I want you to know that what I am speaking now is not something vague or general. I am speaking about you, your name, your life, your pain, your dreams, and the hidden stumblings no one else knows about. I have seen every step you took, every time you were about to give up, yet held tighter to what is right. Every time you wanted to keep silent but still prayed in tears. Those moments that seem invisible to others are, before me, echoes that resound in the heights of heaven. And because you have listened, because you have walked forward even while trembling, now I want you to know you are carrying a spiritual legacy greater than yourself. You think you are too ordinary, too small, too broken to bring change to anyone else. You compare yourself to this person and that person and conclude that they are more worthy to be used. But I do not see as you see. I do not choose people because they are strong. I choose those who dare to be weak before me. I do not call the most capable. I call the most willing. Remember Moses, who once killed a man and ran away from his calling, yet became the one who led my people out of centuries of slavery. Remember Ruth, a foreigner with no inheritance, no status, only a loyal heart and one decision to follow the God of Naomi, and she became an ancestor of the Messiah. So it is with you, my beloved child, if you will simply say, yes, Lord, then all of heaven will move at the sound of that surrender. I want you to understand that every small act of yours is a seed sown into the lives of others. When you forgive, a generation learns how to let go. When you pray, spiritual chains are broken not only over your life, but over those you love. When you rise after a fall and do not turn your back on me, you leave behind a living testimony that my grace is enough for all who come in sincerity. You are not simply living for yourself, you are living on behalf of children not yet born, on behalf of souls who will walk through the doorway you open. I have placed within you a flame, not just to keep yourself warm, but to light the way for many who are lost. And if you choose to hold on to that light, then wherever you walk, the darkness must retreat. You cannot imagine the impact of a surrendered life. Today you may feel you are only offering a simple prayer, only speaking one honest sentence to someone who is weary, only pausing once to hold the hand of a hurting person. But in heaven, these are links in a long chain of events, pulling along countless unseen changes. You may never know, on this side of eternity, everyone who has been touched through you, but I see it all, like the wind that blows without form to the eye. Yet people feel its chill or its warmth. Your life, if placed in my hands, will be that breeze carrying the fragrance of heaven to hearts dried up of hope. And for this very reason, I have not only called you to be healed, I have called you to become an instrument of healing. My child, do not measure yourself by what you have lost. Do not value your life by your scars. Before me, those wounds are not failures. They are the marks of a battle worth fighting. Every time you say to me in your pain, I still believe, you push back the boundary of darkness a little further. Generations after you will grow up resting in the shade of the faith you are choosing today. And that is more precious than any possession you could leave behind. Do not despise your presence where you are right now, in your family, your church, your community, even on social media. I have placed you there as a spark of light. And if you do not go out, the space around you cannot remain dark forever. Do you know that I used a young girl named Mary to change all of history, not because she was a princess or a leader, but because she dared to say, I am the Lord's servant. May it be to me according to your word. That is all I need, a heart willing to obey. And today, I am also looking at you, not waiting for you to be perfect, but waiting for you to say something similar. For if you truly believe that I am the one who accomplishes all things, then you must also believe that I can use you, with all your weaknesses and limitations, to do something great, not great by human standards, but in the way heaven calls victory. I know that at times you feel alone in your choice to walk according to this calling. Those around you may not understand. They may mock your faith, belittle your spiritual priorities, even try to pull you back into your old way of living. But my child, faithfulness is never in vain. A tree that grows slowly will put down deep roots. Water that flows quietly can wear away stone. You do not need to be loud to be seen. You only need to be steadfast. And let me be the one who guards the calling over your life. What I have sown in you will not be stolen, as long as you keep walking in my grace. And one day, you will look back and realize the very small things you were faithful to preserve have become the foundation for the lives of those who came after you. The prayers you whispered for the child not yet conceived, for the friend who does not yet know me, for the community still in darkness, it was those prayers that kept the gates of heaven open. You once thought you did not matter, but in my kingdom, your name is inscribed as a faithful gatekeeper, and I, who never forget anything done in love, will reward you, not only with eternal life, but with the joy of seeing those who were saved through your quiet faithfulness. Now, if your heart is stirring, if you feel something within you coming alive again, do not delay. Mark this moment. This is not just an article, not just a message that happened to pass by. This is a part of my plan to remind you that you have been entrusted with a flame, not to keep for yourself, but to pass on. I have chosen you, and you have been marked with an unchanging love. Wherever you go, whatever you do, what I have placed in you will never be lost. It only waits for you to be ready to kindle it again. Do not live for yourself anymore. Do not keep hidden what I have sown, for time does not wait. And there are souls who need the light in you in order to find their way back to me. And if today you hear my voice, please do not harden your heart any longer. Answer me as you once did. That very first day when you knew that something inside you had changed. Return to that first love, but this time with maturity, with the understanding that you are not walking alone, that behind you are lives that will be shaped by every step you take. Write it on your heart. And if you need to, write it down for real, that I return to my first love. For in that love you will find not only yourself, but also the purpose I prepared for you before the foundation of the world. I love you, and I am still calling you, and not only for your sake, but for the generations who will come to know me through the life of someone who once fell, but stood up and said, Lord, here I am. You have heard it already. Not once, but many times. I know that. Your heart has often been moved. It has pounded within you. At times feeling on the verge of tears for reasons you could not explain. You have called it passing emotion, a vague spiritual sensitivity. But I tell you the truth, those are the very moments when I have drawn closest to you. I do not always speak in thunder, nor appear in blazing lightning. But the gentle breeze you thought was accidental, that was me. You sensed it because I was stirring your heart, inviting you to step out from the shell you built around yourself for protection. But the painful thing is that, even knowing where the call was coming from, you still pretended not to hear, still turned your face away, as if walking faster could make my voice fade into the distance. You have done this not because you are hard-hearted, but because you are afraid. Afraid of what you might have to let go of. Afraid of what you might lose. Afraid of changing a life arranged by your own will. Afraid to trade what you can see for something you cannot predict. And so, you chose silence. You chose to ignore it. As if I were not calling. As if everything were only coincidence. But deep down, you know very well that I have been calling your name. Little by little. I do not blame you for that. I understand the human heart. You are my creation. And I know what makes you tremble within. But what I want you to know is this: there is no avoidance that does not leave consequences. My call does not come to control you, but to rescue you from what has long been secretly controlling your soul. You may move through the regular rhythm of each day, yet deep inside you are slowly running dry. Each time you do not respond to me, some part of you grows dim, grows numb. No one sees it. No one truly understands. But I do. I see clearly that no matter how much you try to paint over your eyes, they still cannot hide their weariness. I see that even in your laughter there is a quiet unrest. And that is precisely why I have not stopped calling, because if I ceased to call, it would mean I had let you go. But I have never let you go, because you have belonged to me from the very beginning. Do you remember the beginning, when your heart had not yet been wounded by life, not yet scraped by unfulfilled expectations? In those days, you trusted more easily, obeyed more readily, surrendered more willingly, not because you were naive, but because your heart was not yet crowded with fears. But then this life led you to build walls, plant thorns, raise barriers. Little by little you became the gatekeeper of your own heart. With every hurt, you slid another bolt into place. With every failure, you laid another brick, and I stood outside, knocking softly, not breaking, not shouting, just knocking. For I am the Lord who respects your will I do not force anyone to open the door. Not even you, the one whom I love so deeply. But, my child, there is something you must understand. Freedom is not my silence. Freedom is not me no longer intervening. Do not assume that my silence means everything is fine. Many times I am silent because you have closed every channel of reception. Do you remember the story of King Saul when he turned his back on my word? The day came when he could no longer hear me, no longer through dreams, no longer through prophecy, no longer through any sign at all. 1 Samuel 2:8-6. That silence was the most painful judgment, a man still alive, yet no longer hearing the call of heaven. Do not let that be your story. Do not wait until you can no longer hear me before you start seeking me again. Now is your moment. This is the opportunity being opened once more. Not for you to return to a past that is gone, but for you to remember a radiant beginning and then move forward by faith. Do not look back to regret. Look back to affirm, my soul remembers the promise. Not the promise you once spoke, but the promise I planted in your heart before you could grasp its meaning. That promise is still there, lying deep within your spiritual memory, in the place where the noise of the world has not been able to erase it. Though you have changed, though you have gone far, I am still here, keeping the first love unchanged. I do not disappear like those who once walked away from you. I do not change my heart as those words that once betrayed you. My love is not like human love, for it is not tied to conditions, not founded on feelings, not dependent on how you respond. It is an eternal covenant. You think you have gone too far. I tell you the truth, you can never go so far that I cannot find you. Like the father who saw the prodigal son while he was still a long way off. I have always kept my eyes on every step you take. You may turn your face away from me, but I have never turned my back on you. And even if you choose another way of life, lose yourself in what is temporary, try everything you can to forget me, you still cannot erase what I have sown into your soul from the very beginning. For you are not just a passerby in this world. You are a messenger in my greater plan. I formed you with a purpose, and that purpose cannot remain buried forever under the dust of this life. Now what I ask of you is not perfection, but courage. The courage to say, I know this call is real. The courage to admit, I once ignored it, but now I no longer want to look away. The courage to face the very fears you have been running from, the fear of letting go, the fear of stepping into something new, the fear of admitting that you are not in control of everything. Yet, my child, I am not asking you to walk alone. I am only saying, walk with me. For when you walk with me, fear slowly yields to peace. The worries that haunt you will fade in the light of my presence. And it is precisely when you surrender, when you choose trust instead of control, that the miracle begins. I will do the rest. If today you hear these words and your heart is stirred, do not let it pass by like all the other times. Write it down. Speak it out. Declare that you have heard. Say it to yourself and say it to me. My soul remembers the promise. It does not matter what your past looks like. It does not matter what others may think. All that matters is you and me. For this is the story of a soul and the one who created it. It is the story of a child who once fell asleep and a father who never took his eyes away. It is a reunion not made by footsteps but by a surrendered heart. And if you truly believe, let your next step no longer be an act of fleeing, but an act of returning. For you have known. You have always known. And now is the time for you to live as if you truly know it. Not out of pressure, not out of fear, but because you have touched the truth again. I have called you, and that call has never come to the wrong address. It has always been meant for you, not to bring an end, but to begin a new journey, a journey in which I will walk with you all the way to the end. You can finally breathe easy now, because at last you have allowed me to draw near. And this new beginning is not somewhere far away, it is this very moment, when you choose to stop pretending and to start living as one who belongs to me. For that is the truth, and that truth will set you free, my beloved. The day you live as though my call were not meant for you is the very day your soul silently weeps in the dark. It needs no other voice to recognize that you are deceiving yourself, for the soul always knows where its true source of life is, who alone can restore every broken part within you. And it also knows when it has turned away. You may smile in front of others. You may live a life that people assume is fine. But you cannot hide from me. I see, behind those eyes, a nameless weariness, a silent tumor in your spirit that grows larger day by day because of your separation from your true origin. I see the deep loneliness in those moments when you seem strongest on the outside. And I have always been there, not to condemn, not to accuse, but simply to wait, like a father who never leaves the doorstep through countless seasons of sun and rain, just to catch sight of his child coming home. And yet, though you have gone against the gentle prompting in your heart so many times, I have never withdrawn, my love, not because I am weak, but because I am patient, not because I do not see your rebellion, but because I know that rebellion comes from a wounded soul trying to survive in its own way. I have seen the storm inside you, where unhealed memories topple your trust, where old rejections make you afraid to surrender, where my loving call has been misunderstood as a harsh restriction. But, my child, the time has come for you to face a truth that can no longer be postponed. You cannot go on living divided. You cannot be light in the daytime and blend into the darkness at night. You cannot continue to live as someone who does not know to whom they belong. When I have called your name since before you were formed in your mother's womb, if today your heart is being moved, if something deep within you is trembling because it feels itself being called by name, then do not remain silent. Let the first words that rise from you be these: I cannot go on living like this. For in the very moment you acknowledge that, the door to a new life begins to open. You cannot walk on my path while keeping one foot on the old road. You were not created to live in hesitation, but to become a light in the midst of this world. And true light does not change its color with time, nor fade when the winds arise. You must choose. You must be decisive. You must walk the whole way, even when you cannot yet see the destination clearly. For I will be your companion, your torch, and your strength for every step. I know that what makes you hesitate is not stubbornness but fear. You are afraid that if you follow me fully, you will lose something in your life, your own dreams, the relationships you cherish, the long-standing habits that have become your safe place. But my dear one, there is something I need you to understand. Nothing you entrust to me is ever lost. It will be given back to you in a way that is more whole, more profound, more beautiful. That is what I did with Abraham when he offered Isaac, with Moses when he left the throne to choose my people, and with Peter when he left his nets to follow me and became a fisher of men. No one loses anything by following me. They only lose what is temporary in order to receive what is eternal. You once said, Lord, I am too weak. I heard those words clearly, and I did not reproach you. But, my child, I do not wait for you to become strong before I call you. I call you so that I, myself, may be your strength. I do not wait for you to become worthy of love before I love you. I love you so that you may realize you have already been chosen, not because of your achievements but because of grace. My love is not like human love, fragile, changing, with an expiry date. What I have prepared for you is still intact, still there, with doors wide open, But that door will not stand open forever. It is open today because I believe it is time for you to choose as a mature one. To live not for fleeting feelings, but for an eternal purpose. Do you know why your yes matters so much? Because it does not only change the direction of your own life, it becomes a turning point for the spiritual lineage I am beginning through you. Every time you say yes, a new gate is opened not only within you, but through you for others who are searching for the light. You may not see it all, but I see it clearly. I see a wandering generation that needs someone who dares to walk wholeheartedly. I see the child you have not yet given birth to growing up in an atmosphere of grace, because its parents once chose to live honestly before me. I see your friend, your brother or sister, your neighbor coming to know me, not through a sermon, but through your transformed life. That is why today, I am not only inviting you, I am entrusting you to rewrite the spiritual journey of your own soul and of those who will follow after you. And to do that, you must let go. You must remove the mask you have worn for too long. You must give back to your soul the honesty it has been longing for. For only when you are real can I truly work in you. That is not weakness, it is the courage of one who is ready to be healed. Choose to end the days of living distracted, divided, half-hearted. Choose to live decisively, so that this time, the call will not only be heard, but answered. And from that moment on, you will not merely exist, you will live rightly, live fully, and live in the unchanging presence of the one who loves you more than you love yourself. And when you stand in the midst of life with all the challenges ahead, you will no longer ask, Lord, am I enough? Because by then you will know I, myself, am your enough. I am your foundation. I am your meaning. And standing on that firm ground, you will become a new echo, no longer just the one who is called, but the one who carries that call to others. You will understand that this call was never a burden, it is a privilege, a summons from heaven, a grace whose door is standing open, and you are the one I trust to receive it today. My dear child, what I am about to say requires from you not only understanding, but a deep commitment in your soul, a genuine surrender, wholehearted and without reservation. It is time for you to stop running, to stop pretending to be strong, to stop covering your emotions with layers of masks that you yourself are exhausted from wearing. You know this is true. No one needs to spell it out for you anymore, because your own soul is responding to every word like an inner symphony. Even while outwardly you try to appear distant, something inside you trembles as you hear these words, as if the deepest part of you has known this truth for a long time. You can keep ignoring it, pretending that what I am saying is not for you, but you cannot deny that these past days, every detail, every situation, every coincidence so delicately arranged has all been pointing to one thing. I am calling you. Not calling you to accuse you, to condemn you, or to place more weight on your shoulders. I am calling you so that you may stop being weary, stop wandering, stop dragging along a life that looks fine on the outside but is shattered within. My child, I do not need you to be perfect. I am not waiting for you to be put together before you draw near. I come into the room where you are hiding your tears. I step into the loneliest space in you, the place you allow no one else to touch, and I sit there, patient, quiet, unhurried, and then I speak not with thunder, but with the very sigh you just swallowed back into your heart. Have you ever noticed that in the very moments you wanted to give up, something, a word, a look, a song, a verse of scripture somehow held you back? That was me. That was my kindness, constantly knocking at your door. You thought you were the one trying to hold on to faith, but no, it is I who have never let go of you. And if you are reading these words now, I want you to know this is not an accident. This is another call, perhaps the last, but it is filled with mercy, not threat. I am calling you not only to rise up, but to step into your place in my plan. Do you know what grieves my heart the most? Not when you are weak, not when you fall, but when you believe you are unworthy to come home, when you think your wounds are too deep, your failures too great, your past too heavy for me to forgive. You are mistaken, my child. There is no darkness into which my light cannot shine. There is no abyss my hand cannot reach. It is precisely because you are weak that I came. It is precisely because you have failed that my grace overflows, like the prodigal child who returns, not with arguments, but with a longing for the Father. All I need is for you to stand up and come back. You do not need to justify yourself. You do not need to try to impress me. You only need to say honestly, I do not want to run anymore. And in that very moment, all of heaven rejoices. But I understand surrender is not easy. Yielding is not something that happens overnight. You have grown used to being in control, used to handling everything by yourself. Trusting me feels risky. You are afraid of losing what you are trying so hard to hold on to. But my child, what I want to give you is always greater than what you fear to lose. I do not take away in order to leave you empty. I take away to make room for what is better, truer, and more whole. Perhaps you are clinging to a dream that has already died, to a relationship that did not come from me, to a definition of yourself in which you have never truly felt at peace. Let it go. Let me redraw, reshape, and rebuild from the ashes from which you once swore, I will never rise again from this. I am the God of restoration, and there is nothing in your life beyond my power to heal. Do you remember the last time you felt true peace? Not when everything was going smoothly, but when you simply trusted that I was with you, no matter how things turned out. Peace is not the absence of storms. Peace is knowing, in the midst of the storm, that you are not alone. I do not promise that your life will be easy, but I promise that if you walk with me, no loss will be meaningless. No tear will be wasted. Every single thing you go through, I will use to transform you, not merely so you can survive, but so you can live with purpose. I want to lift you up, not because I need you to do something for me, but because I love you. True love does not need a reason, and I myself am that love. There are days when you think you are too small to make any difference. But my child, a single yes from you today is enough to open doors for an entire generation behind you. You may be the first in your family to dare to believe in me in a personal way. You may be the first to break generational chains of hurt, bitterness, and silence. You may be the first to stand up, even trembling, and say, I choose to walk in the light, and that very choice will set those after you free. You are not living only for yourself. You are living for children you have never met, for souls whose names you do not yet know, but whom I have already appointed to be touched through you, not through eloquent preaching, not through dazzling success, but through your honest, surrendered, humble, and steadfast life. You are the bridge. You are the forerunner. You are the necessary yes for me to begin something far greater than anything you have ever imagined. And I do not need you to be strong right now. I only need you to be sincere. I only need you to let these words rise from the depths of your heart, Lord. I am willing. You do not need to know clearly what the next step will be. You only need to know that my hand is holding you. Day by day, little by little, I will lead you. Not with a detailed blueprint, but through trust. For the spiritual journey is not built by maps, but by each step of obedience. And you will see what I have prepared for you is not a temporary repair, but a complete renewal, not a patch on a torn soul, but its recreation into something new, more beautiful, stronger, and more capable of loving truly. If right now your heart is trembling, if something within you is softening and tears are gathering at the corners of your eyes, do not rush to push it down. That is my presence, touching the deepest place in you, the place you once hid and locked away. Open it. Let me enter. No ritual is needed. No suspicion is needed. You only need to say, I choose not to run anymore. That sentence is the beginning of the greatest journey you have ever dared to live. And from this moment on, step by step, you will not walk alone. For I, your father, have always been here, always waiting. And now, I have heard you answer me. Do you know this? My child, those silent tears in your room, where no one sees, where it is only you and your pain, I see them more clearly than anyone. Not the loud sobs in a crowd, not the dramatic cries meant to reassure others, but that quiet pain that bleeds in your spirit and wears down your soul. The tears that fall on the steering wheel when your car is stopped at a red light. The ones that soak your pillow at night while no one knows. They do not vanish into nothing. They fall into my heart. Before your pain had a name, I carried it. Before your heart broke in two, I was already there, standing on the far side of the shattering, quietly gathering each fragment of your weary soul. You have thought that no one understands you, that this loneliness is a sad privilege reserved for you alone. But I am right there in the midst of that loneliness, patient like a father standing at the broken doorway you do not dare to look back at. You have lived as if you were not allowed to be weak, as if you were the pillar holding everything together, forced to stand so that nothing collapses. You smile so others can be at peace. You say, I'm fine, so they can feel relieved, while inside you are like a house that has long been without light. And then, when there is no one left to uphold the image, you fall apart, sometimes not even having the strength to wipe your tears. Yet even then, in that moment when you feel most exposed and frail, I have never turned my face away. I am there not to rebuke you for collapsing, but to gather you into my arms, like a shepherd holding the lost sheep exhausted from running away. I do not wait for you to stand up before I come. I come when you no longer have the strength to move, because I am your father, and my love does not require you to prove anything. You have always thought that, to come close to me, you had to be put together, had to be better, had to be more worthy. But my child, I did not choose you because you are capable. I chose you because you are mine. I have loved you even on the days when you could not bear yourself. Every time you blamed yourself, compared yourself, denied your own worth, I saw it all, and my heart ached. Not because you were weak, but because you forgot that you have a father who has never needed you to be perfect, only to be honest. You do not need to do anything great to move me, just a faint whisper. Father, I'm tired, is enough to stir heaven. And when you let go, I begin. There are children who grow up with wounds woven into their very flesh. They do not realize they are living with a fractured soul until the pain speaks up through wrong choices, distorted relationships, or sudden panic that seems to have no cause. You too have walked through seasons like that, seasons where everything seemed fine on the outside, but inside you was a smoldering battlefield. You wondered, why can't I truly rejoice? Why can't I truly be at peace? And the answer is not that there is something wrong with you, but that your soul is longing to return to the place it belongs. Every person is born with a space inside that only I can fill, and you have tried to fill it with success, with approval, with applause. But the more you tried to fill it, the emptier you felt. I do not blame you for trying. I am only grieved when I see that you have not yet stopped long enough to recognize that My call has been sounding every day in the early breeze, in the eyes of a passerby, in a song you happen to hear at your familiar cafe. It is not coincidence. It is intention. I am calling, gently, because I do not want to force you. I want you to choose. True love does not coerce. It always invites. And if you are reading these lines right now, do you know this? It is I whispering to you once more, my child. It is time to come home. Do you know why true healing only begins when you stop pretending? Because as long as you keep acting like you are fine, I cannot touch the place that is truly hurting. You are like a patient who refuses to open their mouth to say where it hurts, then complains that the doctor cannot heal. I do not violate your freedom. I wait for you to invite me in. I do not use violence. I use light. But light can only shine where something dares to open. And if you stay busy building walls, you will, without meaning to, keep me standing outside. It is not that I lack the power to enter. It is that I respect your heart so much that I will never break down the door. You may have forgotten, but I have never forgotten a single prayer you whispered in sleepless nights. Even the pleas you feel ashamed to admit, I heard them all and kept them all. There were times you complained that I had not answered, but you did not know that I was preparing something better for you, like a father who will not hand a knife to his child even when the child demands it. I too have refused certain things you prayed for, not because I do not love you, but because I see what you do not see. And I would rather let you be hurt a little than let you lose yourself entirely. You will ask, how can I truly be healed? And I will say, stop hiding. Do not laugh when your heart is crying. Do not act strong when you are exhausted. Do not cling to that role you keep performing. I do not need a child who is good at acting. I need a child who is sincere. Come to me with your weariness, with your unhealed wounds, with your tears still wet upon your lashes, for these very things will become the most precious offering you have ever given. You do not realize that this weakness is exactly where I can do something great, for I choose the weak things to shame the strong. I choose what seems useless, to bring forth what no one ever expected. And when you surrender, you will not lose control the way you fear. On the contrary, for the first time you will truly live, no longer driven by the past, no longer straining to please everyone, no longer depending on what others think or say. You will live as a free soul because you know you are loved unconditionally. From that place, all things new will begin, and you will not only be someone who has been healed, you will become one who carries healing to others. For those who have received mercy are the ones who know how to show mercy. Those who have been lifted out of the depths are the ones who know how to bend down with understanding and a warm hand. Do not be afraid if the journey of healing does not come in a single moment, but day by day, step by step. At times I will carry you through certain stretches. At times I will simply walk beside you, but you will never have to walk alone again. I will be at your side. Even when you cannot feel me, your emotions change, but my presence does not. I am the faithful one, and my promise is not built on how you feel today. It rests on the covenant I made before the foundation of the world. My child, when you surrender, you do not lose your freedom. You find it again. When you stop trying to control everything, that is when I can do what you yourself could never do. That is to rebirth you from the inside out. And from that moment on, your life will no longer be a mere string of survival days, but a journey of living true, living deep, living with purpose. No more running from the past. No more avoiding the present. No more fearing the future. For when you are in my hands, you are in the safest place in this universe. So do not pretend anymore. My child, do not wrap yourself in a cloak of righteousness if inside you are torn and tattered. I do not need a facade. I want your heart. And if today all you can manage is a faint whisper, Father, I need you. Then that is already a great step in the spiritual realm. You just come, and I will take care of the rest, and you will see each wound soothed, each memory replaced with light, each fragment pieced back together by the most loving hands. One day, you will tell your story again, not with tears, but with gratitude, and in that very moment, you will know what once seemed like the end was actually the beginning. For no surrender is ever in vain when you place your surrender into my hands. My son, my daughter, I know every tear you have swallowed, every pain you have hidden behind strained smiles. I have seen it all clearly, the silent questions you dare not voice, the nights when your heart groaned and no one knew. And today, it is I, no one else, who comes near to you to lift the veil of truth that perhaps you have not dared to face. All this time you did not escape those things that once felt like everything by your own strength. It was not because you were strong enough, nor because time simply healed all wounds. It was me. It was I who cut you off from what seemed so good, yet was secretly gnawing away at your soul in the dark. I did this not to hurt you, but to rescue the deepest and most precious part of you, the part I call belonging to me. There were things you thought were great dreams, opportunities not to be missed, doors opening onto a bright future. I closed them, not out of rejection, but out of love. There were people you thought were blessings, yet I knew their hearts. There were jobs, relationships, environments you clung to with all your heart. But had I let you stay, you would gradually have lost yourself. You did not see it, but I saw clearly the cracks beneath the calm surface. Conversations laced with deceit, covered by smiles. Promises scented with exploitation. Tender looks filled with hidden intentions. You called it friendship, love, opportunity, career, but I called it a trap, carefully decorated by the enemy itself, to draw your soul away from the light. I broke off what you did not dare to leave. I interrupted the trip you had long dreamed of taking. I caused the contract you pinned your hopes on to collapse at the last minute. I did these things not because I wanted you to fail, but because you were about to step into a place where blessing was only a shell, and inside was depletion, numbness, and a faith slowly drained away without you noticing. I am not saying you do not deserve good things, but I want you to know that not everything that glitters is light that comes from me. I have kept you more than once from accepting something just so you would not be alone. I have pulled you away from meetings and encounters that seemed like destiny, but were actually only the first steps toward destruction. You have been angry with me, have asked, why did you take it away? But if I had not taken it, would you still be yourself today if I had not intervened? Would you still have that pure heart? There were nights you writhed in tears over someone who left, yet you did not know that if they had stayed, your soul would have withered under control, confusion, and a love in which you no longer recognized yourself. There were times you prepared everything, made meticulous plans, invested your whole being, only to watch it all collapse at the final moment with no clear reason, only to look back years later and breathe. Thank you, Lord, because if that had happened, my life would have gone down a crooked, lost path. You called it failure, but I called it the intervention of a love that refuses to compromise. There are things I cannot explain to you while you are still in the throes of pain, because when the soul is bleeding, words easily turn into blades. So I chose silence, chose to be with you without a sound. I did not answer your why, yet I held you through every night of tears. There were nights you stayed awake till dawn, for no clear reason, only because of a nameless emptiness. In those very moments, I was covering you with my presence, not to explain, but to guard. For there are things you can only understand when your heart has become quiet. And now I see your heart has softened, has grown more humble, has enough cracks for my light to seep in. That is why I am now speaking plainly to you. It is not that you have lost something, but that I am changing your direction in order to give you something better. I have rescued you from choices that seem perfect, yet would have left you standing still in a gilded cage. You may never fully know all that I have done, the accidents you never had, the relationships you were never entangled in, the trips I moved you to cancel at the very last minute, but I know exactly what each of those decisions was exchanged for. I have stood in the thin space between you and collapse. I have been the last barrier when every other wall had already fallen. And if today you are still breathing, still searching for me, that is the clearest sign that I am still doing what is good in your life. Even when you do not yet understand it all. There have been times when I have had to save you from your own self, from your stubbornness, from the ego quietly steering your choices, from impulsive emotions disguised as faith. You did not realize you were going astray, because you were so used to the sound of your own voice. But I was not afraid to become the one who disrupts your plans, just to preserve your soul. I have reached into the deepest places, the places you let no one come near, to shake, to reshape, to tear down foundations that were not from me. And I have done it not with a rod, but with tears, not to condemn you, but to protect you. If you could see the map from heaven, you would realize that everything you have called loss has in fact only been a transition of love. The people who left, the doors that closed, the dreams that dissolved, it was I who chose to remove them, to make room for what is truly good. And that goodness is not only what you want, but what you need. You need a faith that does not depend on circumstances. You need a love that does not require you to lose your worth. You need a calling that is not built on the approval of others. You need me, and I have done everything to keep you close to me. My child, if your heart aches right now, if your chest grows still as you read these words, that is because my Holy Spirit is bearing witness within you that this word is for you. You are not imagining what is trembling inside your soul. That is me. It is the voice of the one who has loved you far too much to let you run after what is wrong without warning you. It is the call of a father who never gives up, who never stops searching, who never stands motionless when you are about to fall over the edge. You may have blamed me, but today you will worship me, because if you could see all that I have been doing in secret, you would weep without ceasing, not from pain, but from gratitude. And if you could write just one thing, let it be this: thank you for closing those doors. Lord, not every door that opens is a blessing. Not everyone who comes close is someone I have sent. And not every road that leads to success is a road that leads to me. I know you would rather have your answers sooner. But if I were to answer before your heart was ready, you would not believe me. Now you have begun to understand. And you will understand even more deeply as you keep walking with me, step by step, with a grateful heart and with the trust that every door I close is, in fact, my way of opening something better for your soul. My child, have you ever wondered why your heart remains restless? Why? In the midst of laughter, journeys, and conversations that appear close and warm, there is still something unnamed, smoldering inside you. Perhaps you have forgotten that my silence is never my absence. I have been there, standing in the quiet spaces, in the missed opportunities, in the very moments when I was knocking on the door of your heart, but you did not stop. I have tried to whisper to you, not with thunder or quakes, but with the smallest of signs, a look from someone that carried a weight of meaning, a casual sentence that touched exactly where you were torn, a sudden loneliness that fell on you in the middle of the crowd. Yet instead of turning inward, you kept running to places that made you forget your spiritual hunger, running after things that numbed your soul. You have heard that call, not just once. Deep down you have known you were born for something deeper, higher, truer. You have felt it in your tears, in the dreams that never quite found their names, in the late afternoons when your heart ached and you did not know why. But instead of entering into that feeling, you rushed to bury it in noise. You picked up your phone. You scrolled aimlessly for hours. You kept yourself busy with anything, as long as you did not have to sit in silence. You did not realize that in those very moments you were squeezing the life out of your own soul. I have led you into quiet rooms, not to punish you, but to see whether in that empty space you would look for me. Yet instead of coming to where I was waiting, you went where you could forget. Instead of looking up, you lowered your gaze to things that fade. And each time, you took another step farther away from the light I have been trying to lead you back to. Do you not see that what wears you out is not only your circumstances, but the invisible distance between you and that first call I have placed inside you? Talents, sensitivities, compassion, depth of insight, passion, abilities that set you apart from anyone else. But if you do not reconnect with the source, how will you know what they are for? How can you live the fullness of your purpose if you keep walking away from the one who designed you in my own image? Your hands are full, but your heart is empty, because I, myself, am the final purpose of everything I have placed in you. My child, you have heard others say that you were born for something greater, and you yourself have felt so many times that your life is not meant to be a repetition of daily habits or mere survival. Something within you has long known that there is a calling, an invitation to go deeper, live more authentically, love more greatly. But then you tell yourself, not now, I'm not ready, maybe later. You think I will always just keep waiting, but you do not realize that time is a gift wrapped in grace, not a right guaranteed forever. What I have prepared for you, the doors I have opened, the souls that are waiting for what I have placed in your hands, will not stand there indefinitely. It is not because I lack patience, but because this world needs you at the right time. There are spiritual hungers that are waiting for someone like you to bring them the bread of life. There are hearts that will never be healed unless you step into the work I have set apart specifically for you. You cannot keep living as though you had an entire lifetime to decide. You think you still have plenty of time, but I see what you do not. I see the crossroads ahead. I see the paths that, if you do not choose rightly now, will lead to outcomes you never intended. You think you are only postponing for a few days, a few months, but sometimes a single delay can skew the course of an entire life. That is why I refuse to remain silent. I cannot watch you walk into what I have fought so hard to keep you from. True love is never silent when danger is drawing near. I love you so much that I keep calling, even when you do not answer. I love you enough to bear your rejection, enough to wait, but I also love you enough to warn you when time is running thin. Listen to me, my child, not because I am angry, but because I am grieved. Grieved when I see you trying to live a life that does not belong to you. Grieved when I watch you grow accustomed to surviving without heeding my true call. You have been running from me for so long. And if you truly feel that this message is speaking to you, do not stay silent. Do not wait until your heart has hardened. Write these words: I'm done running. Lord, not to prove anything to me, but to acknowledge something to yourself, that it is time to come home. Time to let go of what cannot save you, and to return to the only one who knew you before you were formed, and still loves you fully, forever, and without condition. You may not know where to begin. You may fear that you have gone too far, but the beautiful thing about me is this: the moment you turn back, I am already there. There is no road so long that I cannot chase you down it. No pit so deep that my light cannot reach it. You do not have to do much, you only have to stop. Stop in the middle of the rush, in the middle of your confusion and competing voices, and turn back toward that first call. I am calling, not because I need one more follower, but because I do not want to lose you. You are mine, and it is never too late to return. But do not wait until you have nothing left. Do not wait until you hit the bottom to cry out. Hear my voice while you still have strength to respond. Come while your heart is still soft. Because today, my child, I'm still calling you, not with anger, not with noise, but with a love that is patient, merciful, and burning. Do you hear it? Not a sound in your ears, but a trembling in your soul. That inner knowing that while everything on the outside seems fine, something inside you knows you cannot keep living like this. That is my voice, and I am inviting you to stop, to return, and to begin truly living, not for this world, but for what is eternal, not to keep running away, but to walk in the guidance of love, and that love is me, still waiting for you to come back from the place where you turned away. This time not to accuse you, but to gather you in my arms, the one whom I have never stopped calling by name. My dear child, I have seen all the times you sat before me without understanding what was happening in your heart. The times you could only sigh and stammer a few clumsy words. I don't even know how to pray. But I know I need you. It is in those moments when your soul is most tangled, when your mind can find no answer, yet you still refuse to turn your back on me, still whisper to me as to the only Father who remains in a room growing darker. That is your true faith. Even when you have no clear way out before you, no sign that the future will be easier, you still hold on to that tiny conviction, in a way beyond my understanding. God will move. You do not call that faith. You think you are simply clinging to the last fragile thread of hope. But to me, it is a silent yes. You have spoken with your whole heart, even when your lips could not find the words. I have heard you. I have taken note, and I have answered. There were times you thought I was silent because everything before your eyes was still shrouded in darkness. But you could not see what I was quietly rearranging behind the curtain of your life. I have quietly reordered the relationships around you. I have removed from you those who only harmed your soul. Even when you thought you were losing your support, I have blocked cruel words that, if they had reached your heart, might have shattered you beyond repair. I have kept your mind from slipping too far into the abyss when waves of negative thoughts came rushing in, holding you at the edge of despair with one last thread, keeping you from falling. Every time you told yourself, I don't understand how I'm still standing, that was the moment my hand was holding you from behind. Every time you said, I thought I wouldn't survive that season, that was when I was carrying you across a stretch of road you never even realized you were passing through. On the days you thought you were completely alone, I was there, very near, like the one wall that does not collapse when everything around you is breaking apart. I have given you just enough strength to open your eyes and wake up to one more morning, and I have placed in your heart tiny rays of hope, just enough so that you would not collapse. When your heart was torn and exhausted, I myself became the place where you could rest your head without having to pretend to be strong. Today, I want you to know this clearly, not vaguely, not by guessing and wondering. Not a single tear you have shed is meaningless to me. While you hurriedly wiped your tears so that no one would see them, I was cherishing them as something precious, and I have remembered every time your heart hurt so deeply that you could not put it into words, the sobs you stifled, the sleepless nights you tossed and turned, the questions you swallowed back inside. None of it has ever passed unnoticed before me. Out of those very tears, I am weaving something new for your life. The pain you have gone through is more than just a scratch. It is becoming the soil in which I sow a deep compassion, a gentleness of soul, and a steadfastness of faith that no textbook could ever teach you. What I am preparing for you is not a cheap reward to make up for a few sad days. It is an entire journey of transformation, a doorway leading you into a life that is deeper, more honest, and more enduring than any dream you have ever drawn for yourself. You cannot imagine what I have already made ready for you on the other side of this wall of testing. There are doors of work and opportunity that, if they had opened earlier, would have swallowed your soul whole. But after walking through these long nights of tears, you will step through them differently, with a matured heart and with a spirit that knows what truly has value. There are new relationships that will appear, not to merely fill a void, but to help you rebuild your life on a firmer foundation. There are opportunities I have set apart specifically for you, perfectly fitted to the new person I am shaping within you even now. Everything I give has its appointed time, and that time is drawing closer than you think. If, when you hear these words, something inside you stirs, if a small warmth rises within you, that is the sign that your soul is recognizing the truth. You are not invisible before me, and your tears are regarded as precious in my sight. If you sense this deeply, be brave enough to affirm this, not before the world, but first of all before your own heart. My tears are not despised before God. When you dare to acknowledge that, you are openly declaring to your own soul that it deserves to be cherished and no longer has to be ashamed of having cried so much. But in order to step into what I have prepared, you need to understand something very important. You cannot cling to the past and still fully receive the future I am giving you. You have grown used to carrying everything on your own, calling it responsibility, playing the role of the strong one who must take care of everyone, silently enduring so as not to trouble anyone. You have believed that if you let go, everything would collapse. So you hold on to it all, even burdens that were never yours to carry. You do not allow yourself to cry in front of anyone, not even in front of yourself, because you are afraid that once you start crying, you will never be able to hold it in again. You paste a rigid smile on your face and say soothing lines like, "I'm fine," while inside you is an entire storm of rain that has never been allowed to fall. You tell yourself, "It's okay. I can handle it." But I hear the cry for help behind those words. I have allowed you to live like that for a while, not because I agree with it, but because I respect the freedom of your choices. However, today I say to you, it is time to stop. It is time for you to stop forcing yourself to appear stronger than your soul can bear. It is time for you to understand that your pain, your weariness, your weakness do not make you any less valuable in my eyes. You are not the pillar that must hold up the whole world. You are simply a child, and I am the Father. Your choice to keep clutching your pain like a life sentence you must serve until your last day is not what I desire for you. I never created you to drag heavy memories alone, to cry into your pillow in the dark each night, and then wash your face in the morning and pretend nothing ever happened. You were made to walk beside me, so that when the load becomes too heavy, you would know how to gladly lay it down at my feet, so that when your heart trembles with hurt, you would know to run into my arms for refuge instead of hiding behind a forced smile. I want you to see that you are not weak when you dare to confess your pain. On the contrary, you are very brave when you dare to expose your wounds before me. True strength is not to never cry, but to cry in the right place, in my embrace. And when you dare to cry like that, you will witness something strange. Tears will no longer be a symbol of defeat, but the starting point of healing. I do not let those tears fall to the ground and vanish in vain. I use them as a stream of water to wash away the dust clinging to your soul. as a rain that softens the hardened soil of your heart, so that the seeds of hope I plant may take root and grow. The road you have just traveled has not been easy. And I know there were many times you thought, maybe I won't make it through this. Yet you are here, in this very moment. And that fact proves that the pain did not destroy you. It may have bruised you, weakened you, brought you to your knees for a while, but it did not defeat the soul that I am holding in my hand. I never allow any wound to have the right to destroy you completely. I allow it to touch you only within a limit, so that through it you may learn to grow and deepen. But I always draw a boundary line, this far and no further. Many times you thought you had hit the bottom, but in truth, I was still holding you back from falling any deeper. Today, your hearing these words is not a random coincidence. This is a declaration I want you to carve into your heart. The time has come for you to dry your tears in a new awareness. Not denying the pain, but acknowledging that it no longer has the right to imprison you. It is time for you to stop hiding your wounds as something shameful, and instead dare to look at them as proof that you have walked through fire and are still alive. I want you to rise, not in that strained way of having to be strong, but to stand up with the awareness that you have me by your side. You can say to yourself, yes, I broke down in tears. Yes, I had nights when I was completely exhausted, but I am still here. And that is the miracle of grace. From this point on, I do not want you to merely be a survivor. I want you to be a victor. Surviving is simply continuing to exist. Victory is continuing to exist with purpose, with peace, and with restored joy. Every hidden tear you have shed in secret, I will turn into smiles that are no longer forced, into peaceful days that no longer need pretense, into relationships built on truth rather than on masks. I will give you a new reason to wake up each morning, not just to endure another day, but to enjoy the journey I am walking with you. And every step you take along this path of healing will be one more step that proclaims, I am not just getting through this, I am being transformed. My child, set aside for a moment the doubts that are screaming in your mind. Let your heart grow still like a lake after a harsh wind, so you can hear clearly what I am saying. You are not here by accident. You did not stumble on these words by accident, and you are not being moved by them by accident. Every step you have taken, every turn you have made, even every time you have stumbled, none of it has ever been outside my sight. I have been waiting for this day, this very moment, to remind you of something your soul once knew so clearly, but has since forgotten. You are called, you are chosen, and you are still being pursued by my everlasting love. Not because you are worthy, but because I am the one who never stops loving. And you no longer need to convince yourself, because you know in your heart that this is not just another video, not just another piece of content passing by like so many things you have scrolled past. This is a living call from me. You may not say it out loud, but I know the hidden battles inside you. I see every question you have never dared to voice, every doubt you have hidden behind a strained smile, and all the times you wanted to trust me but were afraid of being disappointed yet again. I understand, because I do not only know you in your joy, I know you in your tears. There is not a single shard of your life that I do not see. There is not a single night of darkness when I have not stood waiting outside the door of your heart. And today, as you quietly listen, your heart knows this is not like the other times. This is the moment I lay my hand on your shoulder and say, for I know the plans I have for you. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a future and a hope. Jeremiah 2:9-1. Do not let the fears of your past steal away the new beginning I am placing right before your eyes. I know that at times you think you are too shattered to be used, too stained to be loved, Too late to begin again. But listen to me. You are not too late. In fact, this very moment is the appointed time. The day I want to plant in your heart a new seed of hope. Maybe everything around you feels like it is falling apart, relationships are cracking, dreams have dissolved. Even your faith feels worn out, but I am the one who specializes in rebuilding from ashes. I do not restore your life by simply gluing the broken pieces back together. I do something entirely new. From the very core, with skillful hands and inexhaustible mercy. I am the one who never runs out of patience with you, even when you have run out of patience with yourself. However, for this to happen, you need to let go. You need to lay down all the things you have been holding on to, as if without them you could not go on living your pride, your stubbornness, the wounds you have embraced as though they were an inseparable part of who you are. You have tried to prove you are strong, tried to handle everything on your own, tried to grit your teeth and push through. But now I am inviting you to choose a different road, the road of surrender. Not giving up, not denying your worth, but placing everything in my hands so that I can heal in the right place, in the right way, at the right time. For my timing is not like yours. You see delay, but I am being patient. You see missed chances, but I am arranging things. And if you believe, you will see that all you thought you had lost, time, dreams, youth, opportunities, can be fully restored by me in a way the world could never accomplish. What you are hearing is not just a reminder. It is a doorway, an opportunity, a sacred invitation from heaven to your heart, calling you to begin again, not on your own, but with me, and you will not have to go far. You do not need to do anything grand to be worthy. You only need to start with one word, yes. One small step of trust will open up a great journey you have never imagined. And if you keep walking, one step and then another, day by day, listening to and obeying each word I speak, at the end of the road, you will find what you once lost direction for your soul, a peace that nothing can shake, and the promise that was always meant for you fulfilled. You cannot reach that place by yourself, but I will lead you there, one step at a time. Maybe you are sitting in a small room, the light quietly glowing, and no one knows what you are listening to or what you are thinking. But in the deepest place of your soul, you sense something stirring, not because of the words, not because of the sound, but because my spirit is touching your heart. That is not just a feeling, that is reality. For I am the living God, and I am calling you by name, not generally, not vaguely, very personally, very truly. And if you respond, what happens next will not be a repetition of old patterns, but an entirely new journey, a life transformed day by day, layer by layer, from the inside out. That is why I have you here, in this very moment, hearing these words, because I do not want you to miss the time appointed for your soul. Do not wait any longer. You have postponed long enough. How many times have I knocked and you hesitated? How many times have I given you signs and you told yourself, it's probably nothing, but you know deep down that this time is different. This is no longer just a suggestion. This is a call, a pressing invitation, but never a forced one. An invitation to step into true life, to leave behind all pretense, all hidden pain, and walk into real healing. You cannot save yourself, but I can, and I am willing. Only one question remains. Are you willing? Trust me, none of this is random. No coincidence has brought you here. It is me. It is my love. It is the gentle yet sure leading of a father who has never stopped believing in you. And if you can sense that, dare to write it down with all your heart. This is not a coincidence. This is God. not so that I can see it, but so that you yourself can acknowledge it, that your heart has heard, and your soul is responding. Because when you say that, I will act. When you open your heart in faith, as small as a mustard seed, I will move the very mountain that has blocked your path for so long. And you will see, it has never been too late to start over with me. It has never been pointless to dare to believe what I have promised. And you have never been alone. If you walk with me, begin, right now. For I am ready, and so are you, my dear child. In the deepest place of your soul, there is a quiet sigh, not because you have not tried, but because the more you try, the more you realize one thing: what you can do in your own strength only carries you to the limit. It never takes you beyond it. How many times have you made plans, sketched out your future, set goals and poured yourself into reaching them, yet in the end, instead of joy, you are left with a weariness that is hard to name. It is because you have been trying to enter the promise by your own way, while I have already prepared a path paved with grace for those who will trust. That promise is not somewhere far away. It hovers over your life like a radiant cloud. You have seen it before, felt it before, but you have also turned your back when it asked you to let go. I know that what I am asking you to release is not easy, because sometimes those very things once made you feel valuable. It may be a relationship, an old dream, or a habit you have used to cope with the emptiness inside. But, my beloved, you cannot cling to what is draining your soul and still receive what I have prepared. Every promise I give requires space. Space in your heart, in your thoughts, in your time, and in your actions. I cannot fill your hands if they are clinging to things I never sent. You may ask, how do I let go? And I will whisper, just start by telling me about it first. Do not worry about untangling everything by yourself. Simply begin with one prayer: Lord, I do not want to hold on to this anymore if it is pulling me away from you. Do you know, sometimes the very weariness pressing down on your shoulders is the sign that you have taken the wrong path. I never designed your life for you to strain and struggle alone every single day. I did not call you into the promise so that you would have to fight your way in, but so that you would walk with me, step by step, in peace. But to do that, you need to stop. Stop to listen. Stop to ask me, Lord, what is truly my path? I know you have heard these words many times, about surrender, about yielding, but today I want you to listen with your heart, not just with your mind. Not because this is a harsh command, but because I want to lift from your shoulders the weight of choices you were never meant to carry alone. You have already seen it, haven't you? The paths you thought would lead to life have only made your heart more tangled. The people you thought would lift you up have left you confused and further from me. The opportunities you thought were blessings have left you exhausted. This is not punishment. It is a gentle reminder that you have drifted from the orbit of grace. But I am here. Not with a whip, but with tenderness. I do not ask, why are you like this? I simply say, my child, come home. No long speeches, no conditions, only a willing heart to return. Just as the prodigal son only needed to stand up and his father ran to him, so it is with me. So many times I have drawn near, but your heart was too busy to notice. So many times I have spoken through circumstances, through dreams, through an offhand remark from someone, but because your heart was so noisy, you thought it was all random. It was not. Nothing in your life is random if you are here reading these lines, because not everyone is awakened by me in such a special way. Not everyone has a moment in time like the one you have now. Today I am not only calling you, I am warning you in love. If you keep ignoring my voice, you will fall back into the same old cycle, choosing by your own will, being disappointed, stumbling, getting back up, and repeating it all again. That is not the abundant life I promised. You were created to live in clarity, to walk in the light, to no longer have to doubt each step you take. But that light only shines when you choose to step out of the shade. And the greatest shade is your own hesitation, half wanting to obey, half wanting to hold on to your own way. You cannot carry both into the promise. One of them must fall away. I am not saying this to push you into anxiety. I am saying it because I know what I have prepared for you is real, great, and worth letting go of everything else. But I need your heart completely, not because I lack anything, but because you deserve to live with a soul that is not divided. I created you to live whole, not forever questioning your worth, not forever torn between what is right and what is easy. Yes, you will have to sacrifice, but what you sacrifice will never be greater than what I have promised. You will see where you lay something down. I will rebuild. Where you open your hands, I will take hold. Where you say, I don't know the way, I will be the light that leads you. And if today you are still reading these words, then this is the moment I want you to pause for a minute, not to do anything, but to listen, my child. Is your heart trembling? If it is, then do not brush it aside like you did before. Do not quickly scroll past these lines as if they were just another nice piece of writing. They are not. This is not a sermon. This is a call, a word from me, the one who formed you, who knows every day of your life before you lived your first. A word coming at this exact moment because I know that if you do not hear me now, you may miss a whole season of grace. I am not saying this to frighten you. I simply know that life is made up of moments, and this moment is set apart for you. If you sense that this is touching the deepest place in your soul, then do not hesitate. Open your mouth or write it down as a declaration. God is waiting for me with arms wide open. For when you write those words, you are breaking the silence, not with others, but with me, and I will take every word you write, every whisper you breathe, and make something new out of them. Let me come in. You do not need to fix yourself first. Come, just as you are full of wounds, yet sincere, full of doubts, yet longing. For I am not waiting for you to become perfect, I am only waiting for you to become honest. And if you do not open your heart today, I still love you. But I grieve for you, because I know you will go on walking in a life without clarity, a life of questions with no answers, of wearying repetitions that drain your strength. You will go on carrying the consequences of choices I never appointed for you, shouldering burdens I never placed on your shoulders. I will still be calling you, but that call will grow fainter and fainter if you keep ignoring it. There will come a time when it is not that I stop calling, but that your heart has grown too hardened to hear. I do not want that day to come. You do not want that day to come. So today, right now, stop not to turn back, but to come home. For what I am preparing is not meant for a pretending to be okay version of you. It is meant for you, truly you, the you whom I love, the you whom I see, the you whom I have chosen. And that promise still stretches over your life like a luminous cloud across a dark, overcast sky. It has not disappeared. It is simply waiting to wrap you in its fullness when you stop running and choose to step into it. Now, with a heart that is no longer hiding, no longer pretending to be strong, you open your mouth to pour out before the Lord all that lies in the depths of your soul. Almighty God, who called me by name before I ever understood what life was, today I stand before you, not with confidence, but with a broken heart. I have run far. I have restlessly searched for meaning elsewhere in the noise, in superficial things, in a world full of promises, yet quick to forget. But now I can no longer deny it. You, yourself, are what I need. Please forgive my silence. The times you knocked and I did not answer. the opportunities you gave that I hurried past. Lord, please not only call me, but also teach me how to stop and listen. I do not want to live one more day without your presence. Bring me home. Draw me near. Reshape me according to the original image you dreamed over my life. I surrender. I thirst for you, and I believe that, though it is late, it has never been too late. Loving Father, who never stops calling my name, I come to you with no excuses and no defense. I come with an empty heart, but a genuine one. I once thought I would be fine walking on my own, yet my soul has grown more and more barren. I have ignored so many reminders, chosen busyness over prayer, chosen silence when I should have cried out. But today, Father, I stop. Please shatter every pride that blocks the way. Break every shell that has trapped me in this illusion of being okay. Lord, come not only to wipe away my tears, but to transform my life from the very roots. I return to you every plan of my own, everything I thought was good, and I take hold of your hand. Trembling yet full of true longing, please do something new in me. Beloved Father, I thank you because you have never stopped calling me, even when I tried to ignore you. Thank you that every day I wake up is proof that you have not given up on me. I thank you for your boundless patience, for a love that never grows weary, for that gentle call that still echoes, little by little, just enough to stir the deepest layers of my soul. Thank you that when the world turns its back, you still open your arms. When I run away, you still follow. When I collapse, you rebuild. You did not have to do this, but you did, because you are Father. And today, I offer my gratitude through my very life, not just through empty words. Faithful God, I thank you because you do not define me by my failures. Thank you that among countless people, you still choose to love me as if I were the only one. I thank you that you did not stay silent when I was going the wrong way, that your correction always came wrapped in mercy. Thank you for the losses and the pains, for now I understand that they were your ways of keeping me close. Not one tear I have shed has been wasted, because you have used them to water the seeds of a new season in my soul. I give you thanks. From the depths of my heart, I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong and vibrant community of faith.